My youth minister, former youth minister, he was great. He took it hard. We've had a couple conversations, and I actually wrote my story out, and he's read it. My story has a lot of my reasonings in it, and why I left, and he's hurt, but he stood by my side. I still don't talk to him as often as I used to, but he has 3 kids and a full-time job, so it's not as easy for him to uh, just drop everything and come see me. But he's been great. But that was one of the hardest things for me to do, was to tell him, just because I care for him so much, and I looked to him kind of as a father figure in my life. Some of the hardest beliefs that I had to let go of was really mainly the belief of heaven, prayer, um, the belief that there's a God, a heavenly Father, filling in those gaps in my life that my earthly father left, and those are gone, and that's hard. And there are other gaps that are now there, from fellowship to praise and worship, and this and that. Also, there's now a gap of meaning in my life, which religion kind of gave me that meaning. And it's not that non-believers don't have meaning, but in a way we discover our meaning. We create our meaning. We find our meaning. It's almost part of what life is about. But again, like I stated earlier, the religion was my one-stop shop, and that plug was pulled when I walked away. So now the responsibility is on me to fill those gaps. Yeah. How do I fill those gaps? Uh, Again, part of filling those gaps would be um, that's part of life. It's part of the journey of life, is to figure out how to fill those gaps. And sometimes I think the gaps are just meant to not be filled. I think part of life is also learning to live with the gaps. So that's kind of where I am in my journey, trying to figure out what gaps I can fill and how to fill them. And that will look different for everybody. And that's also kind of the beautiful thing about it. We're not all marching to the same drum mindlessly. We're all individuals on our own unique paths, which I think is very beautiful. So, what would I say when theists say that I'm arrogant for saying that there's no God? Um, this is actually a kind of a common uh, question, statement by some of my theist friends. Um, and what I've discovered is most believers don't understand atheists and agnostics. And, and from my point of view, no one can really know 100% that there is not a God. So for me to say that there is not a God would be arrogant. Um, that's why I'm agnostic. I'm an agnostic atheist. Um, Gnosticism has to deal with knowledge. We don't have enough knowledge to say there is not a God. Now, atheism deals with belief, and I lack the belief of God, so therefore I'm an agnostic atheist. So, yes, it would be arrogant for me to say there is not a God. But I can say I believe there's most likely not a God. Just like it would be arrogant for a theist to say there is a God. Um, but I wouldn't claim that they're arrogant if they said that they believe that there's a God. I'm fine with that. So in actuality, we're all agnostic. If you're a Christian, you're an agnostic. You're just an agnostic theist. Agnosticism is the lack of knowledge. We just don't have enough knowledge to prove one way or the other. So we're all agnostic. It's just, are you an agnostic theist? Are you an agnostic atheist? Are you an agnostic pantheist? What would I say if someone said I were never really a Christian? And I've had Christians say that to me already. First of all, I would say that that's kind of judgmental, which I don't know. Somewhere in the scriptures, I think it says something about that. Um, how do they know? How do they know what I truly believe and what I truly don't believe or didn't believe or did believe? How does anyone know? You know, I think that statement is more about them feeling comfortable. You know, I think it's a way for them, because for them to think that a fellow believer could lose their faith or walk away from their faith, I think is very scary for them, for a believer. You know, um, so it's more comfortable, I believe, for them just to say that you truly did not believe. Oh, I left Christianity because that was the life I wanted to live. I've actually even heard that one before. Which was also kind of my misconceptions about non-believers. But now that I'm on the other side of the fence, that's completely not the case. I didn't leave or walk away so I could, get drunk every night and start smoking pot and sleep with everything that moves. It's not what it's about. I walked away because when I started to look at the evidence or lack of evidence, I realized that the life I was living was a lie. And I had to ask myself, is that really a life? Is it really a life when you're living for something that you don't believe in? And so for me, it was about walking and living in integrity. And it wasn't about running off and doing whatever I want. But it's also interesting when Christians say that, because it shows how much control Christianity has in their life. There's a control factor in there. The mere fact that they have to say, "Oh, you want to go off and do whatever you want." Well, yeah, in some aspects, yeah, I want to be in control of my life. And so, when Christians say that I want to be in control, yeah, I do want to be in control. I'm tired of making decisions based upon a book that was written 2,000 years ago. I was tired of letting that control my life. So there is maybe a little bit of truth to that, but not in the way that they meant it. No, but you just got you're running on reserve battery.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Um, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
Because I kind of, did I cover that in the first question?
You know what you did.
Awesome. Squirrel. Um,
Cool.
We've got 3%.
Whew. All right. It's probably gonna die during the next question. What about the opposite problem? What if they've made the decision? No.
1%.
That is a fantastic note to end on. Ha!